Bonjour, Monsieur Carney, c'est Fanny Olivier de Radio-Canada. Le chef conservateur Pierre Poilievre vous met au défi de participer au face-à-face de TVA. Est-ce que vous allez le faire?
Pourquoi pas?
Pourquoi pas?
Oui, pourquoi pas? Oui, oui. Il y aura.
Of course I'll debate Pierre Poilievre in French. Yes, we'll do that. Why not? A couple of hours later, we learned that Mark Carney's afraid to debate Pierre Poilievre in French. His French is so bad, he knows he's going to be eaten alive, not just by Poilievre, but by everybody else on the stage. When we come back, Carney got lower. We asked the question yesterday. He's getting lower every day. We'll be right back with more. We need political change. But we also need the resolve to resist. Yes, please like the station. Now we really appreciate you doing that. It helps us beat the algorithm and to beat the suppression that this station faces every day. We appreciate your support so much. Thank you for subscribing and the numbers you have. We're going to hit 50,000 within a couple of weeks with your help and support. I know we can do this, and thank you so much. It's so appreciated. The As I See It monologue this morning. Carney got lower, and Mark Carney got more cowardly. Mark Carney is afraid to talk to Donald Trump. We'll watch that video in a few minutes. He's afraid to talk to Newfoundland fishermen or to even introduce them to his fisheries minister. 50 of them shut out of the office. I'll show you the video that we put together with some subtitles because it's hard to understand at times. He's afraid to debate in Quebec. He's afraid of Quebecers. His 1% tax cut is ludicrous, because he's going to be taxing you in so many other ways. And Pierre Poilievre's offering 15%, but that's not good enough. And that's not an answer, Mark Carney says. He won an obviously rigged leadership race. 86% to 87% in every Liberal riding, in every constituency across Canada? That's impossible. Was that not rigged? No, not Carney says. But the Conservatives had problems with their leadership race. Really? What was that? What was that? How was that ever? How would the Conservatives cheat? How did Poilievre cheat? Show me in any way. There is some vague idea of Chinese interference. It's never been demonstrated. Now, we reported on our deep dive a couple of weeks ago all about something we're hearing this morning from at least one YouTuber that it's just a new revelation. No, it's not. It's a month old. And thank you to Canada Proud for coming out with this information almost a month ago, that the Epstein list includes Mark Carney's wife and sister-in-law. Yeah, it's right there. I encourage you to read our deep dive to learn more about it. Begs the question, was Mark Carney on the list? Did Mark Carney go anywhere with Jeffrey Epstein? He won't even tell us his finances. But reporters need to be asking him, did you go to Epstein Island? Were you on the contact list? These are things that need to be reported. And you've seen the pictures of Ghislaine Maxwell with Mark Carney at their farm, not at his farm, in the UK. Now the Liberals are accusing Danielle Smith of election interference. Oh, this is clever. This is clever. And the Globe and Mail, always in the pocket of the Liberals during any election campaign. Oh, they emerge after the election's over and they do some good investigative reporting, especially Bob Fife. But during the election, the editorial board is solidly behind the Liberal Party, and they love Mark Carney as much as they hate Pierre Poilievre and Maxime Bernier. So they're saying it's Danielle Smith. Oh, of course. But how's that? It was the liberals who have been asking Donald Trump to keep the trade war going by initiating retaliatory tariffs and not fixing the border. The liberals want the trade war, and I've been saying this for 3 months, so they can run against Donald Trump. They stoke the fires of the trade war so they can say we're on Team Canada and we're fighting for Canada but basically they're running against Donald Trump. They're running against the United States. It's an old game, but they've got the gall to say Daniel Smith is asking the US to interfere by stopping the rhetoric, because the rhetoric is helping the Liberal Party. They're turning the truth on its head, as the Liberals tend to do. But you know what? I'm really furious about this. I'm really furious about this. You see the guy in the far end there? These are the people who will be at the leadership debate. And of course, sometimes his party's even included in the polling. In fact, it usually is. That's Jonathan Pedneault. I had never heard of this guy until the election started. He's something called a co-leader of the Green Party of Canada. I guess that means he's a fill-in when Elizabeth May is incapable of standing up for an event. But there he is. He's going to be participating in the event. He has never been elected to the House of Commons. He doesn't have a seat. And yet he's going to be at the leadership debate. And Maxime Bernier, no, he can't attend. I'm furious about this. And I'm furious about the fact that pollsters in this country totally ignore the People's Party of Canada polling results. They don't even include them in the polls. In fact, I was looking at Angus Reid this morning, and I'll get to this one in a second. Angus Reid lists them as other. That's the People's Party of Canada, the other. By the way, this is an ominous poll. And I know it's microscopic. I got my glasses on. Liberals at 46. I'm sorry. 46% to 38%. How is that even possible? But how is it even possible we have an election system so bad that a viable political party is not even included in the polling, and can't be a part of a leadership debate? I mean, it's bad enough we have so many people on the stage for these leadership that they become absolutely irrelevant to the process, because all they resemble a kitchen table fight. I remember Richard Nixon wouldn't even submit to a 3-person debate in 1968 when George Wallace was running as an independent. But this is the state of Canada. And speaking of elections, before I forget, speaking of elections, Elections Canada says be on the watch for misinformation during this campaign. Oh, where would that be coming from? Where would that be coming from? Probably from social media. That's what that's the buzzword for misinformation. Don't trust your social media. Don't rely on YouTube or Rumble or podcasts of any kind. Even though, as I'll get to in a minute, if it wasn't for podcasts, if it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for independent media, you would never have heard about a story out of Newfoundland yesterday in St. John's. But I did call Elections Canada this morning. And you know what? They were able to tell me at the very least, that they will not be using electronic or digital voting in this federal election. And I spoke to somebody, and I did not ask the question as a journalist because I knew I'd get the runaround. I talked to somebody, and I said I had worked for Elections Canada in a previous election, and I have. I worked in the 2015 election as a poll. I think they called them poll commanders, or they poll leaders or poll manager, and I always said Election Canada does a great job because we still use paper ballots that are counted by human beings. And this individual I talked to was able to confirm to me that that process will remain intact for this federal election. So that's good news, because the other way of doing this is easily subject to abuse. But I was able to have it confirmed that we will be filling out physical ballots, and those physical paper ballots will be counted by human beings, not machines. So that's actually good news. Anyway, that's as I see it for today. Went on a little longer than it usually does, but I want to show you this because this is incredible, and we put this together. And it's, if you haven't seen it, this was up on X yesterday. It's phenomenal.
Are you Jason Sullivan? You have a minute of your time. So, tell me, this place is full of fishermen. Why are we here, Jason?
Oh, we're Liberal supporters. We're excited to see Prime Minister.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Oh yeah, he's just a regular Joe. We want to see him.
Prime Minister going to be due, right?
I'm not too sure, but
Team Joanne volunteer.
the event's not
You
underway
know,
yet,
you know
guys.
where Joanne is to?
The event's not underway yet, guys. Okay, I'm still volunteering.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Well, we're looking for.
anyone that's all up to you and speak to?
Yeah.
When the event's open, I'm sure like there's going to be someone who can help, right? Like that door shouldn't have been unlocked, right?
We'd like to talk to her.
Okay.
She's Minister of Fisheries, right? She was.
Still is, I think.
Yeah, still is. Yeah, good news. So that's we'd like to talk to her.
I know you said.
Yeah,
Don't know the door. This is invite only, so if you're not on the list, you guys have to step outside, right? Okay, Rich? It's invite only, so you're not invited, so you have to step outside, unfortunately.
Come
like that when we voted then.
The event hasn't started yet either,
Like
right?
that when we
Yeah.
passed our vote.
Just really-
We're looking to talk to the minister. We went up for a campaign ops. She wasn't there. We got called. She's not there, so we'd like to.
I
we'd like
think
to talk to her.
we got a couple hours till the event starts, guys. Okay.
I can arrange that.
Yeah. Super duper early right now, right?
Do you give us numbers, doctor? Or, you know?
I have a campaign office number 2.
Yeah.
So the event starts in 2 hours, guys. If you are signed up, fantastic. Otherwise, unfortunately, like registered.
No time on in the name.
Sorry to say.
For the name there.
Yeah, sorry to say I can't do that.
Well, I
Well, him and over, we can do it. One of us can do it.
I think we really want to talk to the Prime Minister or the Minister of Fisheries. I really do. And I think you should go back to somebody to send a message that we've been waiting since yesterday evening to talk to her. And this is an important
Waiting
issue.
for that.
If it wasn't the important issue, we wouldn't have came in all the way from 5 hours there to talk to the Minister. And we're not going to be unreasonable to the Minister. We just want, we want a response from the Minister.
Yeah.
And you're a volunteer for Joanne? You don't have her number?
I'm a volunteer with the party, but
Okay.
I'm not Joanne's volunteer. I just came to
It says
help.
Team Joanne here.
Yeah, because it's the only
Yeah,
badge
who's
that they
the
have.
head volunteer?
volunteer. Bring him in. You might have a number.
Well, we're not open yet, right? Like that's the thing. Like we're not like that's like.
You know,
Of course, but we're not open yet, right? That's the thing. So like, no one's prepared yet, right? Well, the door was meant to be open. Perhaps it wasn't even closed fully, right?
But all we need is some communication from the Minister's office. That's all we want. And I think there's people in there, I guarantee you, that can relay the message that we need to talk to the Minister. Especially the one with the badge on there now, right? Yeah. I can tell you right now that she's certainly not starting off on a very good footing here. Hold on. I can tell you that.
Now, you would never have seen that picture. You would never have seen that video. You would never have learned about those 50 fishermen, unless, of course, you lived in St. John's and attended the event. But otherwise, the mainstream media completely ignored that event. Why? Because it makes Carney look afraid, dismissive, too much of an elitist, all of the above. Now, who else is Mark Carney afraid of? He's afraid of fishermen. When he goes to events with construction workers in the background, they don't even want to look at him. But what is he talking about with Donald Trump? Does Donald Trump not want to talk to him, or does he want to talk to him? But it's clear from this video that Mark Carney is petrified of talking to Donald Trump.
The president is waiting for the outcome of the election and see who has a strong mandate from Canadians, or who has a mandate from Canadians. Is it someone who is, to quote Daniel Smith, who's in sync with him? Or is it someone who's going to stand up for Canadians? I'm going to stand up for Canadians. I hope Canadians will back me, and then we'll have a discussion. Thank you, Steve.
Sir, did you say that President Trump is waiting to talk to the Prime Minister of whoever wins this election?
Well, that's an interpretation, but I think it's a reasonable interpretation.
Whoops, he said too much. He wasn't supposed to tell everybody that, because he's been so evasive about why doesn't he go see Donald Trump? He's afraid to ask Donald Trump. He's afraid to call him.
Available for a call, but you know, we're going to talk on our terms as a sovereign country, not as what he pretends we are, and on a comprehensive deal.
Very, very interesting. What else is Mark Carney afraid of? Well, I find this comment from the Bloc Québécois leader, and of course, I don't have a lot of time for the Bloc Québécois, especially at a federal election time, because they're not running to govern Canada, and they're, as far as I'm concerned, irrelevant. But I must say, their leader often has some very cogent things to say, and this is quite interesting.
He's doing this because he's afraid about his French being compared to yours twice.
So far, I don't know what he's not afraid of. This guy is supposed to be strong enough to face Donald Trump, which is one of the biggest threats on democracy and freedom for a long time. I will face the guy. And then we say, hey, come in Quebec and discuss with us because you want us to.
So he's responding to the question here. Is it why doesn't Mark Carney want to debate in French? After he says, of course, what we led the broadcast off with, the clip where Mark Carney is saying, why not? Bring it on. A couple of hours later, his staff have announced, no, he will not be at the debate. So much.
Vote for you. Oh, I won't go. And I have the perfect pretext. I say, oh, us, the Liberal Party of Canada, we do not have $75,000. We're so poor. Yeah, I do believe that. So I'm saying to him, hey, let's come and face the music.
Officially, he said that he's not going to participate. He hasn't talked about the money being an issue.
The Liberal Party has said that they don't want to pay the $75,000.
It's not in the official statement, but can I ask you, are you worried that this robs you of an important platform for yourself in an election campaign?
That's the intention of Mr. Carney. I want to rob the Bloc Québécois, which I have refused to acknowledge so far, of a very important stage on which they could force me to reveal something of a program about which I have said nothing so far. This is not the behavior of somebody which has been well equipped with courage.
I'd say so, and thank you for Juno News for that. You know, while Mark Carney was running around revealing just how afraid he is of everybody yesterday, afraid of Donald Trump, afraid of Quebecers, afraid of those Newfoundland fishermen, what was Pierre Poilievre doing? He was actually advocating for a substantial and substantive tax cut for ordinary Canadians, not for the richest, but let's listen to it because it's quite effective, and puts in it, it absolutely out distances, strikes out, eviscerates, obliterates the 1% Mark Carney tax cut because there's nothing to it. You'll be paying more for everything else. Let's listen to Pierre Poilievre.
The choice in this election is very simple. Do you want a fourth Liberal mandate where they will raise your taxes and drive up your costs? Or do you think it's time to put Canadian taxpayers first for a change with a new Conservative government? And that's why I'm here today. Today I'm announcing that Canada First Conservatives will cut income taxes by 15% for the average worker or $2,000 for the average couple. This is a tax cut for seniors who are drawing their pension or retirement income. They will pay, on average, 15% less. This is a tax cut for the workers behind me who will pay 15% less on their income tax. This is a tax cut for the waitress, for the welder, for the barber. This is a tax cut for everybody who has ever got up early in the morning and worked hard to build our country. This is a tax cut that will put Canada first.
Yeah, Canada first. There we go. It's also Canada strong, though. And I think you'll get maybe not everything you want from Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives, but you'll get a stronger Canada, and you'll get a Canada first that's a lot more indicative of putting this country primary than Mark Carney is even capable of thinking of. So what was Mark Carney's response to that?
Mr. Poilievre and you both unveiled middle-class tax cuts yesterday. He described income tax as the fine you need to pay for working hard. His tax cut is larger than yours. I'm wondering what you make of it, if you considered it a deeper cut than the one you offered yesterday.
I think so. Thanks for the question. It's a fundamental difference in our approach. We have a balanced approach. He has a simple approach. I recall that Mr. Poilievre, when COVID began, his solution was, let's have a tax cut.
Ah, that's what I wanted you to hear. So it was a bad idea to have a tax cut during COVID? What was the better idea, Mark? The better idea was to have the government send you a welfare check. That was the better idea. So you're more reliant on the government to meet your needs so you can stay home and just deteriorate. Poilievre suggested a tax cut so we can keep working and the government will take less of our money. But it's interesting. Carney is comparing COVID, the pandemic, to the trade war. It's another opportunity for the Liberals, and I've been saying this again. Watch for it. Every day you'll get a hit from Mark Carney, what they're up to, what he's up to with this trade war. He's not just using it to win an election by running against Donald Trump. He wants to use it as another reset, another crisis that they can exploit, another way to take away your rights, another way so they can pay you to stay at home and lock up your doors and lock up your business so the government can take it all. That's what's behind this.
His response with the tariff war and the revenue that the government is collecting from the retaliatory tariffs, he said, I'm going to use that to cut taxes. We say we're going to use that to protect workers who are directly affected by, and that's what we've done. That's what we've done with the changes we announced over last week. He said, and now he's backed it up with an initiative, that he will eliminate, not just cut, eliminate child care, eliminate dental care, eliminate pharmacare. He still doesn't have enough to pay. He's going to eliminate foreign aid while he's at it. He's eliminating the Housing Accelerator Fund, so he's eliminating affordable housing. And even with all that, he's getting this number. It's a everyone for themselves approach versus we're all in it together. We have a balanced approach. Yes, we're focused on affordability. Yes, we want Canadians to have more money in their pockets. That's why we have a middle-class tax cut. But at the same time,
these clowns have had a decade to find affordable housing. Guess what? It's not available through the government. You have to enable the private sector, the engine of prosperity, to build those homes at an affordable way. Because why is it in the interest of the private sector to build affordable housing? So somebody can buy it. Because if you can't buy it, sorry, real life drama there. If you can't buy it, the private sector won't make any profit. So that's why free enterprise works. The government doesn't work. And a Mark Carney government is going to be one of the worst you've ever
We
seen.
have these supports for the most vulnerable in our society, for those who can't afford dental care. We're talking millions and millions of Canadians in that case, millions and millions of Canadians using childcare so that both parents can go to work and be full parts of society. I can go on, but I'm going to give you your...
Yeah, he'll go on forever. It's all balderdash. It's all rubbish. It's all talking points about how you are going to do better with a 1% tax cut than you are with a 15% tax cut because it's the government's money. That's his philosophy. The more I see of Mark Carney, the less I like of him. I think he's even beginning to bother me more than Justin Trudeau did. But how low did Mark Carney get? How low does he go? Well, I said at the beginning in the As I See It points, he's gotten lower than ever. And listen to this, because I'm fascinated by just why an Ottawa area MP named Chandra Arya was, first of all, blocked from the Liberal leadership race, apparently because he couldn't speak French. But it's okay for Mark Carney not to speak French well enough to engage in a leadership debate, in an election debate. That's okay. But why was this guy MP for 10 years suddenly found to be wanting? Suddenly he was no longer MP material. Why was that? Well, they asked Mark Carney about that yesterday.
Just before the election, you removed a 3-term Liberal candidate from the riding of Nepean, Chandra Arya. That's a very serious decision and a very drastic decision. You've been briefed. Can you tell us why this was necessary, and did it have something to do with his close relations with the Modi government in India?
Thank you for your question, Steve. Let me say a few things. The first is that I find it beyond baffling. I find it downright irresponsible that the leader of the opposition, day after day, month after month, year after year, refuses to obtain his security clearance. As a normal course.
What the F? How does that have any bearing on the question? We know why Pierre Poilievre doesn't get his security clearance, so he can't be co-opted by the Liberal government, which is what Mark Carney wants. But every time Mark Carney has a serious question about ethics, about his finances, about why he moved his business to New York City, about his relationship with shady characters, about his relationship with the United Nations and the World Economic Forum, he talks about Pierre Poilievre's security clearance.
In peacetime, when times were tranquil, that's unacceptable then. But at this point in our history, when we face the greatest threats that we faced in generations, in most of our lifetimes, he has to answer for that. And he particularly has to answer for that given the reporting that I understand you did, you and your colleagues did today, and the lack of integrity in the Conservative leadership race. Now, I will observe that in the Liberal leadership race, every effort was made to protect the integrity of that race.
That's so rich. Every effort was made to protect the integrity of that race. Except you got 86% or 87% support in every constituency across Canada. Who's stupid enough to believe that anybody could achieve that. You got 86% support in Chrystia Freeland's riding. People must really hate Chrystia Freeland and love you so much, Mark. This guy is just so full of crap. It's coming out of his ears.
Including, I'll be frank, quite an onerous technical system for voting to verify identity, location, so that was held up. And some people.
So it was so incredibly, how did they say, an onerous system? Is that why 2/3 of Liberals were disqualified? Even though your party allows 14-year-olds who are not even citizens of Canada to vote in your leadership race. Something doesn't smell very good here, Mark Carney. I can stand so much.
People couldn't vote because of that. We decided to take that risk because we wanted the highest integrity for that race. As part of that process, of course, there were reviews of candidates and suitability, myself included, appropriately. Certain information came to light. I'm not privy to the exact information. It's a separate process. Certain candidates were disqualified from that race. That information was relevant to the decision of what is a separate body within the Liberal Party.
So he had nothing to do with it. He had nothing to do with disqualifying any of these people. He had nothing to do with making sure that Chandra Arya isn't running again. He's disqualified now. He's been deplatformed, canceled. It's over. And that's the kind of man Mark Carney is. So when we come back after this brief look at our store, and I thank all of you who are buying material from it. One of you mentioned you got a mug yesterday. Thank you so much. I'll be right back with some concluding remarks. Yeah, thank you so much for the support you're showing the store. And here's what I want to say at the end here. This is very important. As I said about that video about those Newfoundland fishermen, you would never have seen that on CBC or CTV. In fact, CBC actually tried to cover that up by saying, well, Mark Carney didn't know about it. So what you need to do, because I'm concerned that the same 200,000 people are seeing the same videos, the same podcasts on YouTube and Rumble. And Rumble is stronger in the United States than it is in Canada. So in Canada, we're really talking about YouTube. I'm concerned only 200,000 people, or maybe 500,000 people, are seeing the same messages. What you need to do is share this YouTube video. And if you need to go like, go on to the video, hit share, hit community, and say to that community, share this video to your friends and family. And if you can't do it with mine, do it with anyone else's, because we need to get the message out about Mark Carney. This man is a clear and present danger. He's masquerading as a moderate politician when in fact he's a globalist elite who has nothing but nefarious ends in mind for this country. We need to fight that. We need to continue to resolve to resist. And there'll be more about this tomorrow, because we're going to campaign to stop Mark Carney from taking this election, because he doesn't deserve it. He's been installed. He's been put here. And I sense it. I feel it in my bones that this man is bad for Canada, that there's a menace here that is just absolutely intense, that is absolutely real. And we as Canadians, as free Canadians, still free, need to stand up to this before it's too late. Thank you for watching today. I'll be back again tomorrow with all the news you need to know, and let's resolve to resist.